Hello, I'm alone in Finland. This is Eve Online, and it's a video I don't quite want to make, but at the same time I think it's really important. So this has come from forum feedback and from feedback actually on some of my videos directly. A lot of people are talking about, when they're talking about making money, they are talking about multiboxing, and they are talking about something very specific, and a couple of people have linked me the same programs. I'm not going to describe what they are. I'm not going to tell you the names of them, but essentially what the programs do is you can run multiple accounts open at the same time on the same screen, and when you use this program, it will replicate your mouse input and your keystrokes to all of the programs simultaneously. So if you set up your overview to disallow the other clients so that you can't see each other in game, you can then fly how many other accounts you're running at the same time as just the one screen in front of you. So when somebody attacks, if you attack somebody, you click fire and everybody fires at the same time. Now, I came across this in a system the other day after somebody had mentioned it online, and I saw somebody multiboxing with 15 accounts. I'm not going to link that person's name because asking for you to report somebody is a way to get me banned. I don't want to do that. And I'm not encouraging you to report. That is your own decision. What I am going to do, I can't show you the discussion between me and the Eve GM, but I can show you one of the things that they linked. And I want to bring this to people's attention because one of the main topics that people were talking about with earning money was multi-boxing encounters, specifically abyssal space. They were saying do it with 3 frigates. And this is where people started linking me this particular program, or those 3 particular programs that do the same thing. And obviously, having seen that that's got people banned in the past, it wasn't the same program, but it was the same thing, I wanted to clarify with the GMs before I spoke about this, so that I made sure that my opinion was not just an opinion, that it was correct. Now, the worrying thing that came from the GM conversation was that they would not out and out say what was permitted and what wasn't. They skirted around this so much. So I can't show that conversation, but I'm also not going to mention the GM in question because obviously this is a company policy. But in that, when I was talking to them, I had actually reported somebody who was doing this. I saw what they were doing firsthand. Again, there was 15 accounts. They absolutely got annihilated because they ran into a smart bomb trap. But I've kept an eye on them since and sort of been following them around on Eve and watching them gank people with this setup, and they are still allowed in the game. So I don't quite know what the hell's going on there, to be honest. But let me show you. This was linked by them and it's on the public forum, and I'm allowed to display it. And it's just jumped all over the place. I don't know why. So don't need that. Right. So multiboxing in general is when you're running multiple accounts. As it says here, this is allowed. Multiboxing is allowed. This is what I do. So I have multiple accounts open on the same computer. I also actually, as you may have seen the setup, I'll put the video around about here so you can see it. I have a setup that has my main computer station actually has 2 computers inside it. I run multiple computers at the same time. So I've got 3 screens, but I'm running 2 computers. If you can see the keyboard and the mouse and the trackball, the white stuff runs the top right screen and the black stuff runs the 2 screens in front of me. And normally I'll run 2 accounts at the same time. On occasion I've run 3 accounts on this setup where I've got the the main account in front of me, the account on the left, not on the full screen, but in part of the screen, and then whatever I'm watching or playing on there as well. And it also allows me to run an alpha on the other computer, which is legal providing you're doing it on separate computers. On occasion I have run 3 on the one screen, 3 on the one system before. You can run 15 on one system if you wish. It's just a case of setting them up. But let's jump down to this next section. Input broadcasting and input no, carry on, let's jump further down. Input automation, that's the one. So this was the thing, and it came in 2013. input automation, which is having something that there we go, we have it here, I finally found it. Input automation refers to actions that are commonly also referred to as botting or macroing. The term is used to describe, but is not limited to, the automation of actions which have consequences in the Eve universe. For instance, if you're running a macro that clicks here, here and here. Then next below it, it says input broadcasting and multiplexing. So input broadcasting and multiplexing refer to the multiplication of inputs and actions and events to multiple instances of the game. So you've got 5 clients open, you do one click, that one click registers on every client at the same time. That is illegal. As it says here, as of 15th of March 2013, we have been policing input automation based on a 2-strike policy. First strike for input automation is a 30-day ban. Second strike for input automation is a permanent ban. So if you got caught doing this twice, you're done. You'll know that you've been caught because you'll get a 30-day ban immediately. This is where I have been less comfortable with this discussion, because this article was linked to me by the GM in the discussion. However, the person that I was talking about has not been banned. And in the actual discussion, they would not talk about this. They actually avoided, like the plague, talking about this. I wish I could show it, but I can't. And it led to me going backwards and forwards with them a couple of times, because I was like, can you not just say whether this is or isn't, when you've actually linked an article that says that it isn't? So if you are that person, those people out there that do this, that run multiple accounts off of a program that replicates your input, you need to know that you can be banned for this at any time. I do not know why people aren't being banned right now. I have a theory about it based on one particular person who was talking about how much money they were making in game. They were talking the method that they used, and they actually added me in game and said that the 2 characters, which I've got added on one of my accounts, were making this money doing such and such over a couple of days. And in one instance I said, could you show me this? Could you tell me how much time you're doing? And they said, oh yeah, not a problem. In the past 2 days, I had been added a couple of days before this. They said, in the past 2 days, I've been online for 12 hours, and this is how much money I've made. It was high. It wasn't impossible for what they were talking about, but it was high. However, in that 2-day period, I'd been contacting them because they were offline, but sometimes the online-offline doesn't always work. And I had been sort of starting discussions and closing discussions to see if they were actually online. They weren't. And when your man said I'd been online for 20 hours, he hadn't. He had been online for about 2. And it wasn't physically possible for him to make the amount of money he was talking about in the time given. This has come up in other ways where somebody had said about in 50 days that they had made so much money, and it was an impossibility. There's just no way in hell that they would have got it. They were talking about 80 billion in 50 days with a brand new account, and not realising that they were talking about things that took longer in skill training than they had given time for, and they were specifically saying that they hadn't injected and they hadn't bought any ISK. Which they would need to have injected to do what they were talking about and things like that. When I asked for confirmation, they had said, oh, I'll add you and show you the ISK, and I was like, well, could you actually put it up on one of these, one of the sites where you can show your API, and that way I can see your market transactions, just so that you can confirm this, because if I'm wrong, I'd be more than happy to show that. And all of a sudden they went quiet and didn't respond to anything, so there's your information there. But this keeps coming up, people talking about multiple cases, and me witnessing it a couple of times, 15 accounts at the same time so that the guy can gank. But he's doing it in an illegal way, and he's still active. I'm not going to link him, because that would be me asking for you to report him as a ban. That is not allowed under Eve. Do not do that online. If you choose to find people doing this, if you see people doing this, report it at your own will. I will not encourage that. That is your own choice, your own thing. But I was stunned that this person hadn't been banned, when what was specifically linked to me and what is online. So this was linked to me less than a week ago, and this is the decision from a few years back, from a decade back, that specifically prohibits this practice, and it's still what CCP is saying is the rules, even though a lot of people are doing this now. So I want that to be out there, because as a new player you need to know that if you do this, you are risking your account. And if you put money into your account and you pay for your update and your upkeep and all of that nonsense, all of that jazz together, and then do this, you are risking everything. So you can have multiple clients open, you cannot have a thing replicating, and I would advise looking at this. So this is forum-archive.evonline.com/message/5241022, and this is the main decision from CCP about multiboxing, multiplexing, etc. Just remember that, because if you see people talking about it, they're not playing the game legally. They can be banned for what they're talking about. Again, there are other ways to make a hell of a lot of risk. If you are in with a Wormhole Corp and you get to do all of those, if you get to run things in 0-0, exploration and things like that, there are tons of ways of making this kind of money. But this particular method that people keep talking about can get all of your accounts banned. So just be aware of that. Something else that I don't think it's mentioned here, if you have a permanent ban, then in some cases they will ban all of your accounts. So if you've got several accounts linked to the same email, or you have the same address across multiple emails that have multiple accounts registered, you could get everything wiped out in a one hit. I remember seeing somebody just absolutely crying on the forums about that a few years back, because they had been caught botting with a carrier. I think this was about 2014. They got caught botting with a carrier in 0-0, and they lost all of their accounts. And it was everything that had the same PayPal account registered to it. So be aware of that. It's one of the most important things about this, because, as I say, a lot of people are putting this out as information. Oh, you can do this. Don't do it. Really don't do it. It's risking far too much. So thanks for your time. I hope that's of help. I hope that saves a few people's accounts and discourages people from doing things that are dangerous. Bye.